The planet of Zytheran shimmered under a sky painted with hues of violet and gold, its twin suns casting long shadows across the jagged terrain. The air buzzed with an eerie hum, the sound of alien life thriving in this strange new world. It was here, amidst towering spires of crystal-like rock formations, that humanity's greatest hope, and perhaps its gravest failure, had landed. Captain Callan Drake stood at the edge of what could only be described as a battlefield waiting to happen. His armor bore scratches from countless skirmishes, each mark telling a story he'd rather forget. He wasn't alone. Behind him, his crew, the remnants of Earth's finest soldiers, prepared for their next move. Their mission was simple on paper: retrieve vital data about the Zytherians' advanced energy source before it fell into enemy hands. But nothing had been simple since they arrived. The Zytherians were unlike any species humanity had encountered before. Towering beings with exoskeletons gleaming like polished obsidian, their eyes glowed faintly, giving them an otherworldly aura. They communicated through clicks and resonant tones that vibrated deep within human bones. And then there was their leader, the alien queen. She loomed over her kind, a figure both terrifying and mesmerizing. Her body seemed carved from living metal, adorned with intricate patterns that pulsed softly as if alive. Drake clenched his fists tightly around the hilt of his plasma blade, feeling the weight of responsibility press down on him. This wasn't just another fight. It was survival. If they failed, Earth would face extinction. Yet, even as he prepared himself mentally for battle, something gnawed at the edges of his mind, a question he couldn't shake off. Why hadn't the Queen killed them already? It all started 2 weeks ago when they first landed on Zytheran. What began as a stealth operation quickly spiraled out of control after one clumsy misstep by Lieutenant Maravas triggered an alarm system buried deep beneath the surface. Within minutes, drones swarmed overhead, forcing the team to scatter and regroup later near the base of Mount Xylora. That's where things took a turn no one expected. Instead of being ambushed or executed outright, Drake found himself standing face to face, or rather face to thorax, with the alien queen herself. Her presence commanded silence, not just because of her size but also due to the sheer authority radiating from her every movement. Behind her, rows upon rows of warriors waited silently, weapons primed yet unused. "Why have you come?" she asked finally, her voice echoing inside Drake's skull like thunder rolling across mountains. He swallowed hard, trying to keep his composure intact. "We seek knowledge," he replied carefully, choosing words that wouldn't provoke immediate retaliation. "Knowledge to save our people." Her glowing eyes narrowed slightly, studying him intently. Then came the order none of them anticipated: "Bring him forward." Before Drake could react, 2 massive guards seized him by the arms and dragged him closer until he stood mere inches away from the Queen. Fear clawed at his throat, threatening to choke him, but he forced himself to meet her gaze squarely. "You will answer truthfully," she commanded, raising a clawed hand poised dangerously close to his chest. "Or perish where you stand." And so began Drake's interrogation, a grueling session filled with questions probing every aspect of human existence. From politics to philosophy, technology to emotions, nothing escaped her scrutiny. At times, her tone softened almost curiously, while at others, frustration flared hot enough to make the air crackle around them. Throughout it all, Drake remained steadfast, answering honestly even when lies might have offered easier paths. Something told him deception wouldn't work against someone who seemed capable of reading minds. As hours stretched into days, an uneasy truce formed between captor and captive, marked by mutual respect born from shared intellect and determination. But now, standing once again before the Queen, Drake felt unease creep back in full force. Today wasn't another round of questioning, it was Judgment Day. Or so everyone believed. When the guards brought him forth this time, shackles binding his wrists tightly, Drake braced himself for death. Instead, the Queen raised a single talon, halting proceedings abruptly. Murmurs rippled through the assembled crowd, confusion evident among both humans and Zytherians alike. "Explain yourself," Drake managed to croak out, unable to contain his curiosity anymore. Her reply froze him, not because of its content but because of the emotion lacing each word. "You remind me of someone I once knew," she said softly, almost wistfully. "Someone brave enough to challenge fate itself." A collective gasp echoed through the chamber, followed by stunned silence. Never had anyone heard such vulnerability from the usually stoic ruler. For a moment, time seemed suspended, leaving Drake caught between disbelief and awe. As the implications sank in, memories flooded back unbidden, images of battles fought, sacrifices made, friendships forged amidst chaos. Could it be possible? Did the alien queen see more than just an adversary in him? Questions swirled chaotically inside his head, seeking answers hidden beyond reach. Meanwhile, tension simmered thickly among those watching. Some whispered theories wildly, speculating connections spanning galaxies, while others simply stared dumbfounded, unsure how to process this unexpected twist. Even Lieutenant Voss looked pale, gripping her weapon tightly despite knowing better than to act rashly. Yet amidst uncertainty, one thing became clear. Whatever happened next would change everything forever. Drake stared at the Queen, his heart pounding like a drum roll leading up to some grand reveal. "Who did I remind you of?" he asked, his voice trembling slightly despite his best efforts to sound steady. The Queen hesitated, her luminous eyes flickering with something akin to sorrow. Around them, the atmosphere grew heavier, charged with anticipation. "My daughter," she said finally, her words barely above a whisper yet carrying unmistakable weight. A ripple of shock coursed through the gathered crowd, breaking the tense silence. Drake blinked, struggling to comprehend the enormity of her revelation. "Your daughter," he repeated, incredulous. She nodded slowly, lowering her massive form onto her haunches so that her face was level with his. Up close, the intricate patterns etched into her metallic skin seemed to pulse rhythmically, almost sympathetically. "She was brave, much like you," the Queen continued, her voice tinged with nostalgia and pain. "She dared to defy tradition, to seek peace instead of war." Drake listened intently, sensing the depth of emotion behind her words. "What happened to her?" he ventured cautiously, aware of treading delicate ground. The Queen's expression darkened momentarily, shadows playing across her features. "Betrayal," she spat bitterly, claws flexing involuntarily. "By those who feared change." There was a pause, during which Drake could almost hear the echoes of past conflicts reverberating through the chamber. They saw her ideals as weakness, her dreams as threats. In their paranoia, they silenced her. A heavy silence settled over the room, punctuated only by the distant hum of machinery and the soft rustle of wings as Zytheran guards shifted uneasily. Drake swallowed hard, feeling the weight of history pressing down on him. "I'm sorry," he murmured sincerely, recognizing the universal sting of loss. To his surprise, the Queen let out a low chuckle, rich and resonant. "Sorry. Humans are fascinating creatures. You apologize for things beyond your control." She tilted her head, regarding him with renewed interest. "Perhaps that is why my daughter admired your kind so much." This revelation struck Drake like a bolt of lightning. "Admired us?" he echoed, bewildered. The Queen nodded solemnly. "Yes." She believed humans held potential unmatched by any species she'd encountered. Passionate, resilient, flawed yet determined, qualities she wished we possessed more of. As these truths unfolded, Drake felt a strange kinship forming, bridging the chasm between their vastly different worlds. Meanwhile, whispers erupted among the spectators, a mix of disbelief and intrigue swirling through the ranks. Lieutenant Voss stepped forward hesitantly, breaking protocol but driven by curiosity. "If she admired us so, why attack us now?" she queried boldly. The Queen turned her piercing gaze toward Voss, assessing her briefly before responding. "Because admiration does not preclude caution. We watched, waited, tested your limits. Until recently, when fear tipped the scales." Her tone hardened slightly, hinting at underlying frustrations. Fear fueled by ignorance and arrogance, traits not exclusive to either side. Voss opened her mouth to retort but thought better of it, stepping back reluctantly. The Queen returned her attention to Drake, her demeanor softening again. "Tell me, Captain Callan Drake, do you share my daughter's vision? Do you believe peace is attainable between our races?" Drake took a deep breath, considering her question carefully. Every instinct screamed caution, yet honesty compelled him to respond truthfully. "I want to believe it is," he admitted earnestly. "But trust must be earned, not given freely." Both sides need to prove themselves worthy of such faith. For a fleeting moment, approval flickered in the Queen's eyes. Wise words, human. Perhaps there is hope after all. With that, she rose gracefully to her full height, signaling an end to their discourse, for now. As she moved away, the assembly parted respectfully, allowing her passage. Left standing amidst awestruck gazes and murmured conversations, Drake realized the gravity of what had transpired. Bonds had been forged, fragile yet significant. But challenges lay ahead, daunting and unpredictable. Whatever path awaited them, one thing remained certain: nothing would ever be the same again. Drake's mind raced as he processed the enormity of the Queen's revelations. Each word she uttered carried layers of meaning, painting a picture far more complex than he initially imagined. Standing there amidst the towering spires of Mount Xylora, surrounded by the silent throng of Zytheran warriors and his own wary crew, he felt the weight of destiny pressing down upon him. This wasn't merely about survival anymore. It was about bridging two worlds separated by millennia of evolution and misunderstanding. Lieutenant Mara Voss approached cautiously, her usual bravado tempered by the surreal nature of recent events. "Captain," she began softly, "what do we do now?" Her question hung in the air, laden with uncertainty. Drake glanced at her, seeing not just a subordinate but a reflection of his own doubts and hopes. "We adapt," he replied firmly, turning his gaze back to the retreating form of the alien Queen. "She gave us a chance, however slim. It's up to us to seize it." Voss nodded, though skepticism lingered in her eyes. "But can we really trust her? After everything?" Trust, it was a luxury neither side could afford lightly. Yet, Drake remembered the raw emotion in the Queen's voice when she spoke of her daughter. That vulnerability hinted at depths untapped, possibilities unexplored. "We don't have a choice," he admitted grimly. "If we walk away now, we lose more than just this mission. We lose any chance at understanding." Behind them, the rest of the team exchanged uneasy glances, murmuring amongst themselves. Some voiced concerns about potential traps, others speculated wildly about hidden agendas. Amidst the chaos of opinions, Corporal Jax Rourke stepped forward, his bulky frame exuding a calmness that belied the storm brewing within. "Sir," he addressed Drake, "maybe it's time we showed them we're serious about this peace talk." Drake considered Rourke's suggestion, weighing its merits against the risks involved. The burly corporal had always been pragmatic, often providing perspectives others overlooked. "How do you propose we do that?" Drake asked, genuinely curious. Rourke shrugged, a hint of mischief twinkling in his eyes. "Let's start small. Maybe share some tech, show them we're willing to cooperate." He paused, gauging Drake's reaction before adding, "Or maybe throw them a party. Humans excel at parties." Despite the gravity of the situation, laughter bubbled up unexpectedly from several members of the crew. Even Voss cracked a smile, shaking her head in mock exasperation. "A party? Really, Jax? Why not?" Rourke countered, grinning broadly. "Nothing breaks barriers like good food and bad jokes." Drake chuckled despite himself, appreciating the levity Rourke injected into the tense atmosphere. Perhaps there was wisdom in simplicity. "All right, Jax," he conceded. "We'll consider your diplomatic approach. But first, let's focus on establishing basic communication protocols. No point throwing a party if we can't even agree on what constitutes music." As preparations commenced, tensions gradually eased, replaced by a tentative camaraderie born from shared purpose. Teams worked tirelessly, setting up rudimentary translation devices and drafting proposals for cultural exchanges. Meanwhile, Rourke busied himself concocting recipes using local flora, determined to impress their hosts with culinary prowess. Days blurred into nights, each marked by incremental progress and occasional setbacks. Misunderstandings arose frequently, often leading to humorous mishaps. Once, Lieutenant Voss accidentally activated a Zytheran defense mechanism, mistaking it for a light switch, resulting in a brief but chaotic dance of laser beams and panicked shrieks. Another time, Corporal Rourke's attempt at humor translated poorly, causing mild offense until clarified through frantic gestures and exaggerated apologies. Through it all, the alien Queen observed silently, her presence looming yet unobtrusive. Occasionally, she interjected with clarifications or corrections, her tone ranging from stern to amused depending on circumstances. Slowly but surely, bridges began forming, not just between leaders but among individuals eager to connect beyond preconceived notions. Yet, beneath the surface of burgeoning alliances lurked darker currents. Not everyone welcomed this sudden shift towards diplomacy. Whispers of dissent circulated quietly, fueled by fear and mistrust. Among the Zytherians, factions resistant to change plotted covertly, viewing humans as invaders rather than allies. Similarly, segments of Drake's crew harbored reservations, skeptical of the Queen's true intentions. One evening, as twilight bathed the landscape in hues of indigo and silver, Drake found himself alone with the Queen atop a secluded ridge overlooking the valley below. Stars twinkled faintly against the velvety sky, casting ethereal reflections on the crystalline rocks scattered around them. "You've taken quite a risk trusting me," Drake remarked conversationally, breaking the companionable silence. The Queen inclined her head slightly, acknowledging his observation. "Risk is inherent in leadership," she responded evenly, "especially when charting unknown territories." Drake nodded thoughtfully, gazing out at the panorama stretching endlessly before them. "Still, it mustn't have been easy convincing your people. I've seen the looks, heard the murmurs." A flicker of amusement crossed the Queen's features, almost imperceptible yet undeniably present. "Indeed. Change seldom comes without resistance. But sometimes, conviction outweighs consensus." She paused, turning her luminous eyes toward him. "Much like your decision to engage rather than retreat." Caught off guard by her perceptiveness, Drake chuckled ruefully. "Guilty as charged. Though I suspect my crew might disagree occasionally." "They mirror your doubts," the Queen observed astutely, "as mine mirror mine. Yet here we stand, defying expectations." Her words resonated deeply, striking a chord within Drake's psyche. Here they were, representatives of civilizations light years apart, finding common ground amidst adversity. It was exhilarating yet daunting, a testament to the resilience of hope against odds stacked high. As they stood side by side, united by shared aspirations and haunted by parallel fears, Drake realized the journey ahead promised challenges aplenty. But perhaps, just perhaps, triumph awaited those brave enough to embrace uncertainty. And in that realization, he found solace, and a spark of optimism igniting amidst cosmic uncertainties. As the days passed, the fragile alliance between humans and Zytherians began to take shape, but cracks were already forming beneath the surface. Among Drake's crew, tensions simmered like a pot ready to boil over. Lieutenant Mara Voss, ever the skeptic, voiced her concerns during one of their nightly strategy meetings. "We're walking a tightrope here," she said, pacing back and forth in the dimly lit command tent. "Every move we make is being watched, not just by them, but by factions on both sides who want this to fail." Drake nodded grimly, his fingers tracing the edge of a holographic map projected onto the table. "I know, Mara. But if we pull back now, it'll confirm everything they think about us, that we're untrustworthy, that peace was never an option." He looked up at her, his expression resolute. "We have to keep pushing forward, even if it feels like we're playing with fire." Meanwhile, whispers of rebellion grew louder among the Zytherians. The Queen's decision to spare Drake, and by extension, negotiate with humans, had ignited outrage among her own ranks. A faction led by Commander Zytheran, a towering warrior with jagged scars crisscrossing his obsidian exoskeleton, openly criticized her leadership. "She has forgotten our ways," Zytheran roared during a heated council session. "These humans are invaders, not diplomats. Their presence weakens us." The Queen remained impassive, though her glowing eyes betrayed a flicker of frustration. "My daughter believed in coexistence," she countered evenly. "Do you question her wisdom as well?" Zytheran hesitated, caught off guard by the mention of the Queen's late daughter. It was no secret that her memory carried immense weight among the Zytherians, almost sacred reverence. Sensing an opportunity, the Queen pressed further. "Would my daughter have stood idly by while hatred consumed us? Or would she have sought understanding, as I am doing now?" Though the room fell silent, the tension lingered thickly in the air. Zytheran clenched his fists but said nothing more, retreating into stony silence. Yet everyone present knew this confrontation was far from over. Back at the human encampment, Corporal Jax Rourke continued his culinary experiments, determined to win hearts through stomachs. His latest creation, a bizarre yet oddly appetizing blend of Zytheran tubers and earth spices, had become something of a hit among the younger warriors. They gathered around makeshift tables, laughing and gesturing animatedly despite the language barrier. For a moment, it felt like genuine camaraderie might be possible. But not everyone shared Rourke's optimism. Private Lyra Kane, a quiet medic with sharp instincts, noticed subtle signs of unrest among their hosts. During a routine medical exchange where she treated minor injuries for Zytheran soldiers, she overheard snippets of conversation laced with hostility. Words like betrayal and invasion floated past her comprehension filters, sending a chill down her spine. That night, she approached Drake with her findings. "Sir," she began hesitantly, clutching her datapad tightly, "I think there's more going on than we realize. Some of them, they're planning something. Something big." Drake frowned, leaning closer to examine the recordings she'd managed to capture. The implications were troubling. If true, it meant their efforts toward diplomacy could unravel violently at any moment. "Good work, Lyra," he said finally, handing the datapad back to her. "Keep monitoring, and alert me immediately if anything escalates." As dawn broke over Mount Xylora, another twist emerged, one neither side anticipated. While exploring a nearby cavern system, a joint scouting team stumbled upon ancient ruins etched with symbols eerily similar to those found on Earth. The discovery sent shockwaves through both camps. Could it be evidence of prior contact between their species? Or perhaps proof of a shared origin long buried by time? The Queen herself descended into the depths to inspect the findings, accompanied by Drake and a small contingent of guards. As they navigated the labyrinthine tunnels, the air grew colder, tinged with an electric charge that made the hairs on their necks stand on end. Finally, they reached a chamber illuminated by bioluminescent fungi clinging to the walls. At its center stood a monolith pulsating with faint light, covered in glyphs that seemed to shift and rearrange when viewed directly. Drake reached out instinctively, brushing his fingers against the cool surface. Instantly, visions flooded his mind, images of stars aligning, planets colliding, civilizations rising and falling. He staggered backward, gasping for breath as the onslaught subsided. Beside him, the Queen mirrored his reaction, her claws digging into the rocky ground as she steadied herself. "What was that?" Drake asked hoarsely, still reeling from the experience. "A message," the Queen replied, her voice trembling slightly. "A warning, or perhaps a plea, from those who came before us." Before either could process the implications fully, alarms blared throughout the cavern. Someone, or something, had triggered defensive mechanisms hidden within the ruins. Rocks tumbled from above, forcing the group to scramble for cover. Chaos erupted as automated drones materialized from recesses in the walls, weapons trained on intruders indiscriminately. "Everyone, fall back," Drake shouted, drawing his plasma blade as beams of energy sizzled past him. The Queen unleashed a piercing shriek, rallying her warriors to defend their human counterparts. Together, they fought their way out of the collapsing chamber, dodging debris and retaliatory fire. By the time they emerged into daylight, battered but alive, alliances had shifted irrevocably. Shared danger forged bonds stronger than any treaty or negotiation. Even Zytheran, who had followed the Queen reluctantly, now regarded Drake with grudging respect after witnessing his bravery firsthand. Yet questions loomed larger than ever. Who built these ruins? What did the message mean? And most importantly, why had both species been drawn to this place simultaneously? As the dust settled, Drake turned to the Queen, determination blazing in his eyes. "This changes everything," he declared firmly. "If we don't figure this out together, none of us will survive what's coming next." The Queen met his gaze, her expression unreadable yet undeniably resolved. "Then let us proceed cautiously, but decisively. Time is no longer on our side." Unbeknownst to either leader, a shadowy figure lurked in the background, watching silently from the shadows. Clad in a cloak that shimmered like liquid darkness, the figure tapped a device strapped to their wrist, transmitting coordinates to an unknown recipient. Whatever secrets lay buried in those ruins, someone else wanted them, and was willing to do whatever it took to claim them first. With new mysteries unfolding and old threats escalating, the fragile truce between humans and Zytherians teetered on the brink of collapse. But amidst uncertainty, one truth became undeniable. Survival depended not on dominance, but on unity. Whether they could rise to meet that challenge remained to be seen. The revelation of the ancient ruins and the cryptic message etched into the monolith sent shockwaves through both human and Zytherian societies. The Queen, ever the strategist, called for an emergency summit to address the implications of their discovery. Representatives from both sides gathered in a grand chamber beneath Mount Zylora, its walls adorned with glowing crystals that pulsed softly, casting an ethereal light over the proceedings. Drake stood alongside the Queen as she addressed the assembly, her voice resonating with authority yet tempered by vulnerability. "What we have uncovered," she began, "is more than a relic of the past. It is a beacon, a warning, perhaps, or a call to action. But one thing is certain, it belongs to neither humans nor Zytherians alone. It was left here for us, for all of us, to decipher together." Her words struck a chord among those present, softening even the hardest skeptics. Commander Zytheran, though still wary, nodded grudgingly, acknowledging the gravity of the situation. Lieutenant Voss exchanged a glance with Drake, her earlier doubts giving way to cautious optimism. As discussions unfolded, it became clear that unraveling the secrets of the ruins required unprecedented collaboration. Teams of scientists, engineers, linguists, and historians from both species worked side by side, pooling knowledge and resources. The process was fraught with challenges, misunderstandings, technical hurdles, and moments of sheer frustration, but each obstacle only strengthened the bonds forming between individuals. Corporal Jax Rourke played an unexpected yet crucial role in smoothing tensions. His knack for humor and knack for cooking proved invaluable in breaking down barriers. During breaks, he organized impromptu feasts featuring dishes that blended Earth ingredients with Zytherian flavors. These gatherings became informal forums where ideas flowed freely, fostering friendships that transcended cultural divides. Meanwhile, Private Lyra Kane continued her vigilant monitoring of dissenting factions. Her efforts paid off when she intercepted communications revealing plans for sabotage orchestrated by rogue elements within the Zytherian ranks. Armed with this intelligence, Drake and the Queen acted swiftly, neutralizing threats without resorting to violence. Instead, they offered amnesty to conspirators willing to step forward, emphasizing reconciliation over retribution. One pivotal breakthrough came when a young Zytherian scholar named Kayla discovered a pattern in the shifting glyphs on the monolith. Working alongside Dr. Elias Hartman, a human linguist renowned for his work on ancient languages, Kayla deciphered fragments of text hinting at a celestial event tied to the alignment of Zytherian's twin suns. According to the inscriptions, this convergence would trigger a surge of energy capable of either catastrophic destruction or unparalleled creation, depending on how it was harnessed. Realizing the stakes, Drake proposed a bold plan: to construct a device using combined technologies from both worlds to stabilize the energy surge and redirect it toward beneficial purposes. The project required immense coordination, drawing upon every ounce of ingenuity and goodwill forged during their alliance. Construction began in earnest, with teams working around the clock under the watchful eyes of the Queen and Drake. Despite fatigue and mounting pressure, spirits remained high. Acts of kindness abounded, Zytherian workers sharing shelter during sudden storms, humans offering medical aid to injured counterparts. Even Zytheran softened visibly, joining forces with Corporal Rourke to oversee structural integrity checks. As the twin suns drew closer, anticipation reached fever pitch. On the eve of the celestial alignment, Drake addressed the assembled crowd gathered near the completed device, a towering structure resembling a fusion of crystalline spires and sleek metallic panels. "Today marks not just the culmination of our efforts but the beginning of a new chapter," he declared, his voice steady despite the weight of responsibility resting on his shoulders. "Together, we stand on the brink of something extraordinary. Let us honor the sacrifices made, not just by us, but by those who came before us, and embrace the future with hope." The Queen stepped forward, her luminous eyes reflecting pride and resolve. "My daughter believed in unity," she said, addressing the throng. "Let her dream guide us now. For in unity lies strength, and in strength lies survival." At dawn, as the twin suns aligned perfectly above Mount Zylora, the device hummed to life. Beams of radiant energy shot skyward, converging into a dazzling vortex that bathed the landscape in golden light. Instead of chaos, harmony ensued, the energy stabilized, flowing gently into surrounding ecosystems, revitalizing barren lands and sparking new growth. Cheers erupted spontaneously, echoing across valleys and peaks. Humans and Zytherians embraced openly, tears mingling with laughter. In that moment, differences melted away, replaced by shared joy and triumph. In the aftermath, formal treaties were signed, cementing the alliance between Earth and Zytherian. Trade routes opened, fostering economic prosperity. Cultural exchanges flourished, enriching both civilizations. Schools taught lessons of cooperation, ensuring future generations understood the value of unity. For Drake, the journey transformed him profoundly. Once driven solely by duty, he now cherished connections formed along the way. Standing beside the Queen atop Mount Xylora once more, he felt a profound sense of fulfillment. "We did it," he murmured, gazing out at the thriving world below. "Yes," the Queen replied, her tone warm with satisfaction. "And my daughter would be proud." As sunlight danced playfully over the horizon, casting rainbows through crystal formations, peace settled like a comforting blanket over Zytherian. Though challenges undoubtedly lay ahead, the foundation laid by courage, trust, and mutual respect promised resilience against whatever storms might arise. And so, amidst stars twinkling faintly in the vast expanse above, two disparate peoples united under a common banner: hope. Hope for a brighter tomorrow, nurtured by lessons learned from the past and dreams dared to dream today.